Hello, eFree Church. I am excited to be back here in the States and sharing with you today. I'm sad that I can't actually be at church, but I am on vacation with my family, spending some much needed catch up time with them in Lake Rathbun. Today, I just want to express my thanks and give a little plug for the ministry dinner that's coming up on July 11th. But also today to respond to a question that Al posed to me not that long ago as he's doing his series on missions. And I just wanted to share a little bit about how this transition from Honduras to life in the States will not be a transition out of missions, but a transition to a different mission. Several years ago, I wrote a letter to Joe Hoy, I believe, on the missions board when I was in college, letting them know of my intentions to pursue missions. And that quickly followed with a trip to Poland with International Messengers, where I helped teach English at a family camp. And later, I decided to move to Austin and work in a service capacity there, and then eventually decided to go to Honduras. And I remember that very first letter and my support letter that went out, I highlighted the passage in Matthew that talks about the Lord of the harvest and sending out workers into ripened fields. And I remember feeling a great burden to be one of those workers and to go out into those ripened fields in obedience and with great joy share the abundance that God has allowed me to experience in my life. And from that first letter, from that first experience in Poland, which I had many before, and a lot I can be thankful to the church and youth group for those opportunities. But I remember that Poland experience being the first one that I really felt a personal calling and an individual responsibility to respond to what the Lord had put before me, and that is to share the greatest news of all. And so from that first experience, I can say that the Lord has continued to grow that desire in me, that really everywhere I look, I see ripened fields. And one of the most amazing things I'm clinging to right now is remembering that when I went to Honduras, I entered a field that had already been plowed, a field that had already been planted, and the Lord had prepared a ripe harvest. And the people and the stories and the experiences and really every way that God was glorified in my 3 years in Honduras, I can see His planning and preparation. And as I step back, which is extremely hard to do in this first week, but as I step back, I see that it is God's field and God's harvest. And it is my privilege to walk in those ripened fields and to see God collecting His children and drawing them to Himself. As I try to adjust to flushing toilet paper and drinking water out of the faucet, I am excited for the next field that God has prepared for me. The next phase that I will walk into, where I can be a witness to His glory more than anything. And I told my students this over and over and over. It was the greatest privilege and joy for me to watch the Lord working in their lives, to watch God transforming literally in front of my eyes the lives of these students. At one point, I told several of them that my time there, and with a few specific students, had been like the most amazing Broadway show where I had a front row seat and I didn't pay for it. That someone had invited me to watch the most amazing performance of all time. And that is what their lives are to me. That God invited me and allowed me to watch Him work. And I'm so hopeful, and I know that God's promises are true and He's faithful. I'm so hopeful and excited that the next field, the next harvest that He has prepared for me, that I will enter into it with the same amount of joy and the same amount of zeal and the same amount of excitement for the work that He is doing to draw children to His kingdom. And that might be in a completely different capacity than what I have been working in for the past 3 years. But I know that, I know because He's proven Himself faithful from the beginning of time. I know that God will indeed be most glorified when I am most satisfied in Him. You're probably familiar with John Piper's tagline. And that is my prayer as well in this next phase, that as I seek out new ways to make myself available, to make myself a servant to the Lord's kingdom purposes and the fields that are prepared and ripe for harvest. So at this time, I'm asking the Lord that He send me out once again into ripened fields. I hope that you have a great Sunday, and blessings to you all, and I hope to see you soon.